This is Joel Bennett, and you are watching the virtual PowerShell user group. I have with me Sergey from the PowerShell team, who's going to share with us a whole bunch of stuff about how to develop modules and use a bunch of the stuff that actually Jeffrey Snover and were you watching that, Sergey?
Yeah, I watched the end of it.
They practically set us up. They were talking about source control and pester and how you should do continuous integration.
Oh yeah. That's a follow-up for Ignite.
Yeah, so take it away.
Joe, I don't see the on the Crowdcast.io. I don't see the translation.
On the what?
On the Crowdcast.io link.
Oh, it's not showing up there yet?
Yes. Can you double check?
I just swapped the video. You might need to reload. They practically set us up. They were talking about yeah. It's definitely working.
Awesome.
Hang on a sec though. I will make sure that.
Oh, I can see myself. Awesome.
Yeah. All right. We should be good to go.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Let me bring in my screen with presentation. All right. Okay. So yeah, as Joel said, it's pretty much a follow-up for Ignite.
Source control.
Where is it? Okay, it's here. And we want to present. All right. So should I go ahead, right? My name is Sergey. I'm developer at Windows PowerShell team. I appreciate that you tuned to listen about GitHub, Pester, and Upware today. And I say thank you, Joel, for inviting me and having me on this virtual user group. What are we talking about here? GitHub is a place where you can host and share your code. Pester is a testing framework for PowerShell, and you probably have heard about it a lot in the past few days, and on the build and on the Ignite. And Upware is a CI as a service for Windows projects. So why should you care about open source? It's all about people. You can make new friends and work connections. You can share your work with community. You can contribute to others' projects, and you can benefit from others' people work. And it's just very cool and fun activity. If you go to github.com and search for PowerShell related projects, you can find about 4,000 of them. Some of them are good, some of them are not so good. And you never know before you try. So I encourage you to go try, explore, talk with authors, provide feedback, ask for features. It's a lot of fun. So I just want to show you our private conversation with Rambling Cookie Monster. I appreciate how flexible people are in open source community. And this is one of the things that really encouraged me to spend my spare time writing some tools for PowerShell, and I believe our people feel the same. In fact, this blog contains a bunch of very useful information about the topic that we're going to cover today, GitHub, Appware, Pester. So go read. It's a very, very decent blog post. And Warren actually inspired me to make this talk. So what is Microsoft App for with open source? You can go to github.com/Microsoft and see a lot of projects there. And well, the second one is Posh Tools, accidentally. So you see that PowerShell have some appreciation from Microsoft on the main organization. This is all pretty new stuff and pretty awesome. Like Core CLR, was open about January 2015 timeframe. So it's all fresh and people actively working on it. You can see the number of stars and the number of forks, which is more important than stars, because a number of forks actually show how many people are actively working on it. And you can go to github.com/PowerShell. This is a PowerShell team organization on GitHub. This organization was pretty much created about 3 weeks, so at least we start put content on it about 3 weeks ago. So all new, all brand new, like flashy stuff, go explore. Mainly there we host the DSC resources. There is a PS script analyzer and a few other projects. And of course, talking about Pester, I have to show this slide at github.com pester. And you know that version 3.3.5 would be shipped in Windows 10. I'm super excited to be part of Microsoft open source movement, and I hope you would join me in it. The name of presentation is GitHub, Pester, and Appware. And we haven't talked about them yet. So one point that I want to stress is the concepts and approaches are more important than particular tools and implementations. And if somebody would provide a better collaboration platform than GitHub tomorrow, I wouldn't feel guilty to switch. And the main thing that I want you to take from this presentation is general concepts and workflows. I would show these workflows based on the tools that I know. But again, first is processes and implementation is second. Best things in life are free, and it's very true in open source projects. GitHub is free for open source, Pester is free, Appware is free, and I will talk about our free tools for your projects if you have time at the end of it. I'm going to show you how to set up this tool chain for your projects in 10-15 minutes. So what we want to, what is our goal is, our goal deliver software as fast as possible and with great confidence, as painless as possible. So we use GitHub to host code and interact with people. We use Pester to write tests and have confidence in code changes. And we use Upware to run tests on every commit and pull request to have this confidence on every small change. And it's demo time. So now I will go to PowerShell. And I will start everything from the very, very beginning. And I will show you the two example, how to set up the whole workflow. So let's start from creating directory. And let me put some code. Some middle stuff. Oh, okay, demo. There might be someone. So now we have a module to test. And the first thing that we're gonna create is a Pester test suite. So let me describe add. And I'm not going here in all details about Pester, so there are like much better sources that you can use to learn about it. So what I'm doing here is I'm describing behavior, so writing unit tests. It adds 1 and 1. And to do that, I need to import my module. Oops. And what I'm gonna do here is, so I call add 1 and it should return 2. All right, so let me try run these tests. And you can see it works, everything is shiny. So one thing that I like to do in my tests is I use -force for import. That allows me to change function code, module code, and without importing, run the tests again. So I think it's a good start. So we already fine with the functionality that we develop, and we would like to share it with our people. So we're gonna put it on GitHub. So when you come to GitHub, this is the dashboard. If you come to if you come first time, you would see something like this, and you can sign up here, create account, and yada yada. When it will ask you which plan you want to use a free one. If you're not sure. So I can navigate to my repositories, and I'm gonna create a new one. And here are some options about README and git ignore and license. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna click initialize with README, yes, and I would put license as MIT license, and I encourage you, if you're doing a new module, like think about license that you want to use, because it just simplifies things for people who want to use your code.
Yeah, do you have a preferred license? Do you usually go with MIT?
Yes, I like MIT license for a couple of reasons. First is it's very short, so everybody can read it in 1 minute and understand what it means. Second, it's very liberal, but it says enough to protect you from the case when somebody using your code and it damaged their system and they pissed off, so they want to sue you or something. You know, this level of protection. Yeah. And if you go to GitHub PowerShell and navigate to any project, it's pretty much all projects use MIT license. So coming back to our demo, you see that content of README file is populated. I showing how it looks in raw view. So this is a Markdown. It's a very simple markup language that's human readable and easily machine parsable. And GitHub has a built-in feature to create a nice view from Markdown. So this is a raw view, and I can add something here. I can preview changes, and it has this div with green and red. And on the home, so on the project page, README file is automatically populated. So it's very important to put some meaningful information there. Everybody who come to your project for the first time would read README first. So now, to put my code, I would need to create a local Git repo first. Because if I run some Git command, it says no Git repository found. And it's true, I just create a new one, a new folder. So I create a new repository with git init command. And if I say status now, I see I have two untracked files. And I go in ahead and add them. And now I can see that I have two changes to be committed. So I'm doing commit with a command git commit -a-m, and in -m parameter I specify the commit message. Provide. So now I can view how my repository look like with a nice tool, Git-K. And as you see here, I have one branch, it's master, and I have one commit in it. So no surprises so far. Now we need to link our local repository that we create in directory to repository on GitHub. So to do that, I use git remote. And there is a convention about names in Git. Well, I should say that a lot of things in Git are by convention. And the convention about naming of remotes is origin or always points to original repository. There could be forks, which means people, forking the whole repository and then making some changes in it. So for forks, you shouldn't use origin because then you will find it hard to find where was original repository. And if you use a git clone, which allows you to clone existing repository, then origin is automatically populated to the URL that you use to clone the repository. So I say git remote origin, and I take URL from this little box on the right. And there are two options, HTTPS version and SSH version. I prefer SSH version. It uses SSH keys for authentication instead of username and password. I find it more convenient. So now I can view all remotes with git remote-v. And as you see here, I have two files in my repository, and I don't have them here. So what I need to do is run git pull to pull changes from GitHub. All right, so yeah, these error messages are because I use in PowerShell ISC, and PowerShell ISC treat all std error text as an error, and GitHub uses std error for just logging some stuff. So don't be discouraged by these warnings and error messages. It's all good. It's fine. Let's see. Okay, now I have all 4 files, and let's see what I have on the big picture. So now I have 4 different commits, and you can see that there are 2 initial commits. This one initial commit come from GitHub, and then there was update readme commit, and then I merge them locally. So this tag remote's origin master points to remote branch, and my master branch is ahead of it. My local master branch is ahead of my remote master branch. So I need to fix it with pushing my changes. And I run git push origin master for it. Now, when I refresh page, I can see my changes here. So that's all cool. We publish some code on GitHub. And it has tests. Now what we want to do is how we make sure that all our tests are always green. And to help us with that, we're gonna use Upware. So the first thing we need to do is set up Upware project. So it starts with coming to ci.upware.com. You can go to upware.com, but this is just a landing page. with link to the real product here. So we call sign in. And then you can create account. And this is the main view of all projects that I have. So I'm going to create a new one. All right, so it was successfully added, and I can see it on the project dashboard. Let's try to kick in new build in it. So it will take some time, but you see it's started new build. It says status is queued, and it points to master branch. It says commit number, which is a revision number that it's gonna use for build. It's all linkable. It's all hyperlinks, so I can go here. See what was built here. So meanwhile, while it's queued, we gonna write configuration to specify how exactly we want to build our projects. Because it's a script, so we don't really have a build step. We only have a test step when we test everything. So to do that, I Googling for Upware YAML reference. This is a great source. What is Upware YAML is one file in YAML format that describes your build, test, deploy, yada yada processes. And we're gonna create one right now. I usually don't create one from scratch. I just take some existing stuff. So the good source for that would be PowerShell. You can go to PowerShell DC resources, DC resource template, and here is Upware YAML. So I'm gonna just copy it. And I open Upware YAML in Sublime. So let's see what we have here. Well, first thing is, let me just quickly remove everything and leave blank pages. So let's talk about the key sections. The install section is what you want pre-install in your system. It's going to be executed in runtime. So how Upware works is it queue your build. Then when one of the build agents become available, it's just Azure VM. I think it's A1 instance or A0 instance. Then it will run install block. So it's not like you pre-configure everything. It will be executed every time. So you always get a new fresh VM, and you need to install all stuff that you want here. I only need Pester, so I'm gonna install it from Chocolatey. Then build step is when you run your MS build or something, some tool to create projects, and because it's PowerShell, we don't need to run anything. Then test script gonna be a test description, and for now I will just use invoke pester. And on finish is things that you want to publish after your build. You can publish artifacts, you can do publish into NuGet feed, you can publish logs and stuff like that. So for now, I don't need on finish. And because invoke pester doesn't throw in case of any error message, so I would need to add some logic around it to throw error if I have any errors. So for that, let me go back to DSC resources, and I will use this code. So this is just a PowerShell, pretty much like in this YAML file, you put indentation. Actually, I should put one more indentation, yes. And then it's just a PowerShell. And this line we don't need for now. It's to upload test results. So we don't need output as unit XMLs. We only need pass through, and then logic we fail a test if fail it more than 0 test and throw exception. So with that, we should be able to get the basic upware functionality, which is binary information. Everything is good or something is wrong. Right, so let's come back here. I can add upware YAML. And now I can commit. Oops. So what I did is push, and let's go back to demo. Let's see here. And we can go to all projects, and as you see here, it automatically triggers another build for my recent commit. We can check what was wrong with our previous one. So it says specify project to solution file. So what this error message means is it actually expected, it has some default build steps, and these default build steps are for C# projects, for Visual Studio projects. So it actually expects. So I believe that if you have a C# project, you can avoid. Like as a very first step, you can avoid writing upware YAML at all. It will just automatically figure out everything for you. It actually even figure out what unit testing framework you use and so on. But it's not our case, so we should be able to see green pass once this build is finished, I hope. Hope it's gonna be green. Meanwhile, we can.
What do you think the trick is to get them to not run the
build on particular commit?
No, to keep them from looking for the Visual Studio build or solution file.
Oh yeah, so that's a really good question. This line build false is what disable it.
Okay.
And The nice feature about Upware is it's really well integrated with GitHub, and it can provide you feedback about builds directly on the GitHub. So I'm gonna show you how it looks like. Let's say that we're gonna create a new branch with some new feature. So I'm gonna say check out new branch. Like multiplication. And I'm gonna add function. Oops. Yeah, I actually don't monitor any comments on the crowdcast. So Joel, please let me know if I need to go and address any.
Yeah, I've got a couple questions saved up for you for later.
Oh, yeah, I think we almost done with demo. So let's make some, error, like we say plus instead of multiply or something. And I'm gonna add a new block. Okay, I'm gonna copy paste it and say multiply. And should be 1. And I don't know, let's add more tests. All right, so let's make sure test fails. That's what we want, because we want to see the bad scenario. So, okay, we have 2 files modified. Let's commit them. Add multiplication. Multiply with park. All right, so meanwhile, we can see our previous build already kicked it in, and it's currently installing Pester. And, oh, wait, I think I pushed master, and master is up to date. Yes. I need to push my feature branch, which is multiply. So, push multiply. Now in my demo repo, I can see 2 branches, multiply and master. And actually, if you want, you can go to this URL right now and see the same stuff live. And I have this flashy message, compare and pull request, new branch was pushed. So I'm gonna click it. There are a bunch of different ways to create a pull request. This is the one way. There is another way, and there is a third way with this pull request button. That's all lead to the same thing. So I picking up my base branch and my compare branch, and I can review what's the diff. I can provide the overview of changes. And by the way, this is I'm currently showing you how pull requests work in one repo. This is the case when you collaborate with somebody like from your team and you all have a right access. But the more important scenario is when you actually fork the repo and then you send pull request from fork to one of the branches inside the origin, because this is how you can contribute to others projects. So let's create pull request. And what you see here is it says pending, waiting for our build to complete. If we wouldn't have our integration enabled, it wouldn't say anything. It would just say, oh, good to merge, no merge conflicts. But because we enabled CI integration, GitHub UI tells us, hold on, wait for build to complete. And it's clickable. You can click here and go directly to build. Then you can go to history. So you see now we have two builds queued. And the reason why we have two of them is one is for direct push in multiply branch, and the second one is pull request to master branch. And you can actually see that revision SHA1 sum are different here, and this is it's like going to in a lot of details about how Git works, but basically what happens is it creates the separate commit for merging, even if there is no merging conflicts. So let me cancel this one. I just don't need a build for the branch itself. I only want a build for pull request. So while we're waiting for this build to finish, let's go to our previous build and see how the output looks like. So output looks very good, like we see all colors preserved from the console. It's pretty easy to read. And we can explore what other options, what other tabs are here. There are messages. I actually never use messages. I don't know what it's for. There are tests, and you can, with Pester, it's super easy to populate your tests inside this tab. So to do that, again, you can just use the template from DSC with these 3 lines. What it does here, it's use upload file to provide an unit XML generated by Pester to the local Upware service. I'm pretty sure everybody can figure it out. So, and artifacts is, the artifacts of your builds. So if you have a module, let's say, you have a production code that you probably want to publish to gallery, and you have a test code. So inside your build project, you can separate this code, like remove the test code or copy production code somewhere and then pack it in zip or NuGet package, and then you can upload it as an artifact. So the boilerplate code that you can use for that lives in DC resources again on finish. So here the code that doing upload itself is push upware artifact. Push upware artifact is a commandlet provided on the upware build VM, build worker. And yeah, so you cannot probably find it anywhere else, but you can find documentation for it on the internet to see what's the parameters available. Package and artifacts, yes. So yeah, it pretty much says you use it in this form. All right, so it's still queued. And like in the meantime, let's go to the project page and see what else we can get from it. So one nice thing that you can see on the projects on the PowerShell is this build status page. It's a hyperlink that you can click and go to up there, build, like latest build, history, and everything. So to get this page, in our demo project, I'm gonna open settings, and there is a section page. Oh, by the way, yes, I didn't talk about settings yet. So the upper YAML that I show you is one of the ways to configure your build. Another way is UI in the settings. But I haven't seen anybody really use it because it's so convenient to generate everything inside code. You know, you can have version control on top of it. You can take let's say somebody want to make contribution, and to run the new unit tests, they need another framework. So they have to alternate your build steps and add additional install step. And they can easily do it if you expose your configuration inside the source code. But here you can see pages. So there are a bunch of examples, and they have some, I wouldn't say secrets, it's some hashes. So my favorite one, the most convenient in my mind, is the last one. It's the Markdown code for the branch. So if you don't use the information per branch, but just a global one, which is this option, you will see just the latest build, and it can be some bad pull request, so it will be red. And you probably don't want to put like some flaky red badge on your page. So you can just copy the master branch Markdown and come to, let me flash it, come to your README file and include it here. You can see preview. So okay, it's green, great. And here we go. Now we have instant feedback for people who come to the project. They see everything's fine. So, all right, so it looks like our pull request already builded. And we see that inside the pull requests section, next to my build, I see the red cross. So, oh wait, build was cancelled. Okay, hold on. Is it the one that I cancel? Huh. Okay, because it takes so much time to run build. It's not so much time. It's maybe 5-7 minutes, but we can check the status of them later. So let's continue. This is pretty much, yes, how you set up everything. And as you can see, let me just show you the amount of code that I used to configure all of that. So pretty much, test code, and then configuration. I think it's very minimalistic and super easy to explore. Again, the documentation for Pester and Upware is pretty decent, and it's all crowd-funded. I mean, you can contribute to it if you exploring some very obscure functionality. You should probably contribute and make the documentation better for everybody. Well, with that in mind, I think we are done with demo.
All right.
And if we have time, we can explore other integrations and answer questions.
Yeah, I think we have a little bit. I wanted to deal with these couple of questions that are still here. Doug Fink had asked if there was any word on parallel test execution in Pester. And,
yeah.
I double checked that with Dave Wyatt, and he said no.
Yes.
If you want parallel tests, you need to do it in your CI configuration. So that's all that I have on that. And the other question I don't actually think is really a question. It was somebody suggesting, Mohammed Taha suggesting that they would appreciate a focus on modules that can serve cloud migration and managing cloud. But I think they misunderstood what you were going to be presenting on. So.
Yeah, it looks like that. Actually, let me add one thing about the previous question about the parallel execution. So internally, like at Microsoft, we have the same problem. So we use Pester internally, as you know, and what we do is we run, parallelization of the job level, and then we say, hey, run the job that execute Pester tests in this file. So we do parallelization on the level of PS1 files. The code is...
You run multiple instances and tests.
Yeah, you just run tests in the different job, and then you need to, pretty much merge the view of, merge the result object and report it in some nice form, but it's not like, super hard. Actually, one thing is the project by Cookie Monster, Invoke Parallel. It helps a lot to ramp up with parallel execution. Where is it? It's rumbling. Invoke Parallel. So we actually use it for testing DSC Azure extension and do parallelization. Yes.
Cool. So yeah, I think that's all I have for questions. Do you have? Did you want to show another integration? I was just playing Waffle IO.
So how much time do we have?
Half hour.
Okay. So yeah, one thing that I actually want to talk about is kind of etiquette, etiquette on GitHub, and what I mean by that is if you really want to share your projects, if you want to see other people working on them, and sending contributions, you should think how to make it easy for others to ramp up. So the first thing that I already said is README file, make it informative, make it pretty much describe and maybe put some showcases. And another one is, and I'm gonna use Warren's repository to show. So let's look, there is a PowerShell module. Yes, this one. So this is Warren's collection of PowerShell scripts, and it's great. But I would say that it's pretty hard to contribute to it, and more important, it's really hard to find, any something useful for yourself here, because it's all just in one repository with very little of examples, and the name is like not very descriptive, you know. So if you have some like really cool things, for instance, there used to be, well, yeah, invoke parallel is still here, but it used to be the only place that was available. So I actually asked Warren to create a separate repo for it. And now, you know, we have the separate repo with instruction, with examples. So much more explorable. You know, it's search engines index it, so it's way better and for collaborators and for initial ramp up.
Yeah, the smaller projects. The only problem with smaller projects I've found, I'm working on it with a company that has all their stuff in GitHub in a private thing right now, and they have probably 6 or 7 smaller projects that are all going at once, and it's impossible to prioritize because GitHub doesn't have any way to show you all the issues from all the projects in one place.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Actually,
yeah. So
we were looking at GitLab. Have you seen GitLab? We're looking at GitLab
no,
because they do have they have the notion of creating a milestone that goes across multiple projects.
Yeah, that's nice.
And then showing you all the, you know, issues that are attached to a specific milestone, regardless of what project, which allows you to prioritize and stuff like that.
Yeah, let me show you, because you raised this question. Let me show Waffle for DSC resources that you can access right now.
Yeah.
Because for DSC resources, we have like 50 repositories. And to get the big picture of what's going on, you can go to dashboard. And we're still playing around with this. You know, it's like kind of just experiment. So here you can see all. Yeah, you can go to settings and you can add all repositories as sources. And then you would be able to see them and drag and drop to add labels, to add GitHub labels on issues. And yeah, that's one of the interesting.
Yeah, it's very cool. I think it was DSC resources that made me aware of Waffle, because I got there was like a pull request that was
Yeah.
the Waffle pull request to add the badge.
Yeah.
And I saw that go by and I was like, Waffle, what is that?
Yeah. So yeah, actually we can show how I can show.
Does Waffle have the ability to pull multiple projects into one like that?
Yes.
That's very cool.
Yeah, very handy. Let me actually play around with all integrations that I explore recently. So, okay, where is our demo project? I have too many tabs open. All right, so build pending. Okay, it's good. Pull request still failing. Yeah, we can go to Waffle. And creating.
Oh, that's really cool. Yeah. I had another question about theirs, and that was, when you drag something to Ready, do they tag it in GitHub?
Yes. So you authorize Waffle, with your credential, like just GitHub application authorization, and then on your behalf it adds and removes labels.
Cool.
Okay, what's them? Yeah. So I just click one button, it creates add multiply with POG. Oh, okay, it's pull request. So show everyone that you're working on with Page on your README. Send pull request. Yes, please. And we can see here, Waffle just send the pull request. It's going to be built, and we can merge it right now. So we have now 2 pages, and we can go even further. And yeah, what it actually allows you is let's say I come in here and create an issue. And the issue is pretty much a way for your customers to communicate with you and like somehow influence what's your project gonna be. And now I immediately can see it here. And then let's try to drag and drop it on the ready or in progress. Okay. Like ready in this case mean ready to work on. And I find this name a little bit confusing because it's not clear. Is it ready in sense of it's done, or is it ready in sense of it's ready to be worked on?
Yeah.
So
especially not clear to anybody who hasn't done Kanban or Scrum.
Yeah. Actually, yeah. I was talking with colleagues about this, and yeah, it looks like the terminology is common, but not in all techniques.
Yeah.
So yeah, now I have this in progress label, and you can see that I edited, but it actually wasn't me, it was Waffle. I just authorized application for that. And the another integration that I want to show is Gitter, because I think it's really, really interesting. So Gitter is a chat room for your Git repository. It's nice because sometimes people, they don't feel that they thought worth opening an issue, for instance. And in general, issues is more about particular bugs or feature requests, not about maybe general questions. So the chat room helps. I created from repository, and I think it's here. No, so I just added and Gitter page opened for. So it's another automatic pull request. To add another page, and I'm gonna merge it. So now everybody can see that it's a little bit messed up. I can fix it. Let's keep all pages in the same place. Here. Looks good. So now if I join chat, it click this join chat button, it brings me directly here, and just talk, and it populates all information from your GitHub profile, which is very convenient. What else? There is like a bunch of different useful services built around GitHub. For instance, there is a bounty source. It's just, I'm not gonna set up everything for now, but just want to show you some interesting things. So bounty source is support for open source software. You can put bounties on particular working items like bugs. You pretty much donate if you really care about some feature or something. Yeah, I think it's an interesting concept. I don't know should it work this way or not, but it pulls issues from GitHub.
Have you seen GitTip?
Yeah. So
Same kind of idea.
Yeah, it's about the same, but I think Git tip is more like I donate for the whole repository. Yeah.
Git tip is more. Git tip is a little bit less giving people financial control of what gets developed, and a little bit more like a tip jar.
And what else you can find interesting? The source for the Codecov.io. So this is a code coverage tool that you can see the coverage from your tests directly inside the pull requests, or that's about it. I'm not gonna show how to set up everything.
I talked to those guys a little bit a while back with the goal of trying to get the code coverage from Pester reported into it. We haven't gotten there yet.
Yes. So actually, let me just show you something. My colleague Travis, find him. Travis. So Travis is our senior test engineer, and like he used to be test engineer before we have unified engineering in Microsoft, and he has a lot of expertise around build engineering workflows. So he is currently looking into the integration between Pester and Codecov, and I think he made a showcase in one of his repos. Let's see. Codecov. I think it should be Codecov review on reviewable. Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah, there's another one.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, looks like I cannot find it right now. Maybe this one. Anyway, yeah, probably, once it's ready and we can actually, we're planning with him to publish the module that will just simplify and abstract how you provide information from Pester to Codecov. Because what you need to do is on every test run, you need to enable code coverage information collection, and then you need to serialize this data and send it on every, so you need to send it from Upware to Codecov, and then link back to GitHub. So, there is some groundwork need to be done.
Yeah, but if he's got if he's got the formatting, that was the hard part that I got.
Oh yeah, so let me show you the pull request in Pester that brings the missing part.
Nice.
I think, yes, closed. So trace hit conf. I think this is, yes. So I think this was the pull request that adds information not only about missed lines but about visited lines as well, because this is the format that Codecov consumes.
Right.
So, with the next release of Pester, we would be able to use it.
Cool. Very cool. I'm using that. I mean, I think I already have that pulled into the branch I'm using. So.
All right. So let me just double check. Maybe any other questions?
Nope. No more questions. People have gone slack-jawed at the breadth of information now, I think.
Okay. All right. Thank you, everybody, for listening. And yeah. See you next time.
Yeah, thanks. That was really good and very timely. the perfect follow-up, the perfect moment for the follow-up on Ignite.
Okay. Yeah, I think like if if you want to cover anything else, you can pretty much take control. And I gonna hang out.
Okay, I think that's gonna wrap it up. Actually, I don't have I was going to try to present a little bit of, because I'm working on one, and actually I was waiting for your presentation to pull the app.var YAML in. We're a couple of guys from the virtual user group and I are working on PS-Git, basically to re-implement Git using PowerShell style commands and piping and output objects and so on. But we're doing it mainly as a way of like testing some ideas about how to co-develop modules and work together, and to do test first development with Pester and so on. So it's mostly a lark, and hopefully we'll get something useful out of it. And that's on GitHub under the Posh Code team. It's called PS-Git. But I don't really have anything to show at this point because there's nothing there right now except a bunch of tests that fail. Because we're trying this test first thing where I check in tests with a work in progress tag. And so the official build runs exclude tags with, and then when you want something to work on, you pull it down and you run it with you just run the whip, and you see what tests are failing and you start working on one. Anyway, we're trying it, but nothing really to show at this point. But yeah, thanks for this. This is really a useful set of tools, and hopefully hopefully more people will start using them, because it's really it would really make me happy to see more of the modules on the PowerShell gallery start showing up with links back to the GitHub repos.
Yeah, I actually published my first module to PowerShell gallery yesterday. So it's actually really easy, as usual. It's harder to just push yourself to do something than to really do that.
Yep.
So yeah, like I
actually updated a bunch of mine because I had published some that had dependencies, but the gallery didn't handle dependencies, so they were very hard to get working. But now with the April release, we have dependencies working, and so I published.
Oh, that's awesome! Yes. So dependencies is a big deal because there are things like, there are things like tab completion, tab plus plus, JSON's module, and like pretty much everybody can benefit from using the common framework to provide rich tab completion.
Yeah.
But because you cannot just put dependency on it, everybody, trying to make it really hacky and like copy the source code inside or do some other like meaningless stuff.
Yes, exactly.
So yeah, now we should be able to get rid of it and just use the normal package manager.
Yeah. Well, and even just being able to say, like, I have a module called Reflection, which just has a bunch of it has some AST tricks and some CLI XML tricks, and some just like get type, get assembly, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And but I have another project that needed to share one part of what I had put in Reflection. And so I had pulled that out and called it Autoloader, and I had put it in a separate module. And so for years now, if you want Reflection, you have to download Reflection and Autoloader. But you had to just do it by hand. Because I just said, you know what, I'm doing it's a dependency, and I'm sorry it's complicated. But I'm just gonna do it. So now my persistence has paid off, and they finally made it easy to install.
Yeah, I see. PowerShell still bringing a lot of new stuff.
Yeah, well, it's funny, you may remember I told John Slack way back when they first asked us about a PowerShell gallery, because I was working on one myself, and they messaged us about it. Well, actually, I heard about it before the rest of the MVPs, because they wanted to make sure that I didn't go off a bridge making my own when they were about to release one on top of me.
Right.
But they had asked at one point. I got an email saying, how important do you think dependencies are? And I said, if you don't get dependencies in there, I'm releasing my own.
Oh yeah.
That is just not okay. Anyway.
Yeah. I think so. Jeffrey told on the probably previous PowerShell summit is we were hoping for community to build a gallery for a while. Now we just gonna build our gallery ourselves.
It's one of those things a few of us had talked about it several times, but it always came back to, if we go and do it and then we end up, because there were several, right? There was PS-Git and actually there's 2 PS-Get projects. It was crazy.
Yeah.
But
all with some commandlets.
Yeah, well, that's just it. None of them were getting a whole lot of pickup, because everybody is like, well, it's just that thing from Andrew Nurse. Like, who cares? What?
Yeah.
And it was one of those where I finally started working on because it seemed like Microsoft was never going to do it. But it was really something that Microsoft needed to do, because the sysadmin community is not a developer community, and using third-party tools is just not popular. So I'm happy they built it in a way that we can still run third-party repos if we want to. And that's good enough, I think.
Yep.
All right. Thanks again. And hope to have you on again.
Thank you for having me here. Bye, Joel.
Bye. Bye, everyone.